Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Game Over Outdoors. I'm Joel Miller, coming to you from one of my local stretches of creek I like to fish today. Today's angle, I want to take you back to a recent trip we had. It was early summer in one of these little stream settings like this, and this is one of those places that I really like to bring new anglers to the game, just for the fact that we're in a smaller setting. Mistakes can be mended very easily in the creek. A lot of their mistakes are offset by close proximity to a fish. So, if someone's not used to throwing a bait caster, or someone that's just not used to throwing musky gear in general, we'll do better in these smaller streams, just because a small cast isn't a bad cast. It's not like some of these lakes or gin clear rivers where you have to maintain a good distance from the fish to be able to even have a chance of seeing one. In these murky creeks like this, you can get away with a lot more, so it's a good place to bring a new angler. Plus, I couldn't tell you how many fish I've caught on an 8-foot cast, so just pitching the stuff that's right beside the boat that I may not have been able to get at my primary angle to the spot. So it's a good place to get them some action, get them seeing some fish, get that blood boiling for a new angler, get them, in that mindset that, hey, I can do this and I want to keep doing it. And eventually they're going to learn over time that it's not always, as easy as pitching 8 feet beside the boat, but it's enough to get them going. So, and this is one of those instances with this episode I'm bringing you here. I actually had the pleasure of taking one of my former golfers. I'm the high school golf coach for one of the local high schools here, and the year I started, this boy was a freshman, and I've seen him grow from freshman to senior, and finally he graduated this past spring. And he always talked hunting and fishing with me and was interested in the muskies I was catching. So I said, sure, I'll take you once he graduates. So he graduated, and I was able to take him out for a trip, and he's one of those lucky ones. On the first trip he ever takes, he ends up catching a muskie. Oh, there's a fish. He's trying. Lost him. Where'd he go? That was a nice fish. And he went for it twice, but it was bad position. Well, it was just a bad place in the figure 8. I'm surprised he turned off that fast. I didn't sting him. They're actually pretty educated in here, because this is where probably 75% of my fish come from in a year.
They're pretty fish in
Yeah,
here.
which is why you see me throwing bass baits all the time, because sometimes you downsize for them. Oh, there, got it. Stay out of that crap. I think he's a sub. I think it's the one I lost yesterday on the Senko. I'll tell you when. Just get it. You can keep it in there. I'll bring him to you. All right.
There you go.
Now just set him down. But here's the other hold I was talking about. A lot of guys do, just like this.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. It's just if they flop, you lose them.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Take off.
Oh, there he is, there he is. Oh, God. Dang it, he nipped the tail off of it. He came from the right, though, which is weird. Drag, why aren't you flipping? Oh. Well, I'm going to try to come back. Well, just keep it on this side. He doesn't seem to want to be coming around. Oh, now he is. I'm going to bring him up. Ready? The hinge came up.
So we had plenty of activity going upstream. He raised a couple and I raised a couple, just no eaters yet. So on the way back down, I decided to switch over to the lighter setup. I have a 7'8" medium heavy spinning rod, rigged with 30-pound braid and one of my special leaders that I made for the soft plastics. I found out whenever using soft plastics, you're going to have a separate leader just for those, compared to even your other small bass style baits that you use, because those baits are moving and they don't get eaten up past, you know, the eye of the bait very often. Whereas these soft plastics that you're using, whether they're yum dingers, whether they're, you know, zoom lizards, these baits are going to be sitting still, and I've noticed the majority of the hits that come on these smaller, you know, soft plastics are going to be on the paws. It's just like a glide bait. So, you know, using a typical leader like I use like 30 to 50 pound mono or fluoro, you know, I equal it with my fly rod. That's what I use for my flies, and it's worked flawlessly up to this point. But then when I switched over to using the soft plastics this year, I got bit off first time. So I had to revisit my leader situation for these. Started making about a 10 to 12 inch titanium 30-pound, not too kinky wire. It's tieable wire, but I crimp it. But anyway, I made, you know, several of those leaders with the worm hook just looped into that crimp. So, and it's been very successful. It's strong enough and, you know, durable enough that it's not going to get bit off whenever a fish eats it, but it's also light enough to not kill the action of the soft plastic. So anyway, this is what I was using on the way back down. And I ended up boom catching 2 fish real quick, and we were getting low on daylight. I knew we weren't going to make any more passes back upstream, so I handed that setup to Davis and I said, here, give it a shot. And within 5 minutes he got some action.
Pop, 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 stop. Oh, get him. All right, let him do his thing. Oh shoot, it's stuck. It's still stuck. There we go. Where's he at? Okay, that's a nice one. You can ease him up. I'll try to scoop him for you. Okay, just let him. All right, now pick his head up now. Yeah.
One a bad one. And he's unhooked already.
Really?
Yeah.
Sweet. I saw. Nice. All right, I got him. Just let him get it. Hold him by the tail, and he'll take off like that.
Yeah. He wanted to go.
As you can tell from Davis's reaction there, he's had plenty of years in competition, so you know, you keep that excitement, you know, under the surface. But I was talking to him shortly after the catch, and I was like, "Well, are you hooked?" And he said, "Yep." I've heard nothing but trying to get back out there ever since that trip, and unfortunately, it just couldn't line up. We were getting to the end of the cool water period where it was going to start approaching 80 degrees and no flows in the creeks. So when our schedules finally did line up, we weren't able to get out. And I'm glad that he understands this stuff. That's something you need to take into consideration when taking new anglers fishing is, you know, don't just take them fishing, educate them. Tell them the risks of hot water fishing. Tell them, you know, the tools to have, because you know eventually that person is going to go out on their own and try to catch a fish. So tell them to have that big net. Tell them to have those cutters, pliers, jaw spreaders. Even if you like to use jaw spreaders, they can be very beneficial at times. Preach to them all of those things that they need to have, because you know, the most important part in musky fishing isn't your catch, it's the successful release of the fish. So drive that into them, that it's not just catching the fish that this is all about. It's safely releasing these fish so they can be caught again. Make sure you take the time to, I guess you could say, nurture these new anglers, you know, point them in the right direction, because you know eventually they are going to go off on their own and start catching fish. So you want them to be as prepared as possible when you get them in the game on their own. As always, this was such a pleasure. I absolutely love witnessing anglers get on their first fish. It's really hard to beat. Everybody has a different reaction. Like I was talking about with Davis's, he kept his under the surface, but I could tell he had that little bit of shakiness in the voice. I mean, he wasn't, you know, fist pumping and high-fiving and all that stuff, but he had that shakiness, and I told him afterward, that is the calmest I've ever seen somebody when catching their first muskie, handling their first muskie, and just the after effects of the first muskie. He said that, yeah, he was pretty tore up inside, but he just kept it under the surface. But, you know, everybody has a different reaction, and it's always fun and very enjoyable to see those reactions, and to see you getting somebody else started into muskie fishing just like somebody had helped you when you started. So hopefully you enjoyed this segment, and we'll see you next time on Game Over Outdoors.